Hi, my name is Tyler Cohen Wood. I was with the Department of Defense for the past 13 years, most of that with the defense intelligence community, developing lots of really neat capabilities. And we're going to talk today about the new cyber warfare, which isn't really that new because I would say it's something that we've been in for quite some time. So in the good old days, we had a lot less to control. We had just computers that were connected, but now we have the Internet of Things. We have everything that's connected, and we have new things that are connected to legacy things. And some of these different IoT type devices that are connected have better security than others. And some of the issues that we have revolving around that is we have very little control over some of these devices in terms of how they're developed and how we secure them. Also, the more devices that you have connected, the more chances for problems and vulnerabilities you're going to have. It's also important to remember that no system is 100% secure. And even if it's pretty darn secure today, it may not be tomorrow. So you have to keep up with these different devices. So there's all kinds of new attacks and threats that have started coming out in the past couple of years. New ways of getting malware onto systems. We also are starting to see polymorphic ransomware. This is ransomware that gets onto systems and to evade detection from intrusion detection systems, malware detection systems, it changes itself so that it's very difficult to find and to stop. So what do? One of the most important things that we can do is educate all employees, all third-party contractors, anyone connecting to our network, to the current and potential future threats, and also keep them updated. It's important to also use technical measures such as keeping networks segregated and using the need-to-know principle, such as keeping sensitive data away from people who don't need to have access to that sensitive data. So another thing we've started seeing a lot of lately, and we're probably going to see more, is fake news. Social media attacks. Now, this was a story that hit the news. 26 million people clicked on this link. Well, it looks legitimate. I mean, NBC World News.press, that looks like an interesting site. My friend sent it to me. It's great. But is it legit? So, not necessarily. There's things that you can do. You can do a domain search, which is something that I did. You see, this is actually registered in Panama. The email account looks a little bit fishy. So this is not affiliated with NBC. So what you want to do with these news stories is you want to really look very long and hard and make sure it's a domain that you know. If it's a shortened link, you want to expand it. You want to look for tricks, sites, things that you've never heard of. You also want to notify your company if you have found yourself in a position where you're compromised. So one of the biggest issues that we're facing now is the new IoT threat, and this is really where the cyber warfare is. We have these single points of failure. We've had hospitals that have been attacked. We've had the DNS with IoT devices being utilized as bots for one of the biggest DDoSs that we've seen. But we also have what I call the spy that's always listening. We have all of these devices connected. And the more devices, remember, that you have connected, the more chances for issues you're going to have because there's more threat vectors. Now, we've all seen these, what I call assistant devices. I'm going to call it Max. This is the device that controls everything else. And it controls your thermostat, your phone. It can maybe eventually at some point control your medical devices, your banking, where you say, hey, Max, can you make sure to record that Hallmark Channel movie that my husband, really wanted to watch, the Christmas one with the prince who ends up marrying the girl who he found in America or something like that. And it will record it. Well, here's the issue, though. Those devices are collecting so much information from all the other devices. They're connected to all those other devices. And then you have another problem where they're always listening for ambient noise. So there was a case not too long ago where a little girl was talking to her Max, as we'll call it, and she just happened to say, hey, I want this really expensive dollhouse. Well, Max ordered the dollhouse for her. So it's listening for ambient noise. Well, this is a problem. What if you work from home? What if you have these devices in your company and you're talking about your corporate intellectual property? These devices are listening, and since they're connected to other devices, especially your phone, there's potential for you to have an app or something else on your phone, your smart TV, that can exfiltrate that data out to someone that you don't want to have that data. This is another thing on your phone. So with Siri and Google Talk, in some of the newer versions, they're always on as well, which means they're always listening for that ambient noise. So you can say, hey, Siri, can you do this? And it's just automatically there. Well, I show you in the slides how you can actually turn that off, and I do recommend that you do turn it off when you're not using it. Because say you have a third-party application on your phone, or you have an application that maybe is extending its privileges, well, you want to make sure you're looking at the permission settings of anything that you download in conjunction with this and with anything to see if that application has access to your microphone, your camera, your calendars, your contacts, because that's a very dangerous thing in your personal life and in your business life. So what do we want to do? If we find ourselves in a situation where maybe we have given away some damaging information, we want to disclose it to our companies. We also want to try and segregate these Internet of Things devices from our corporate infrastructure. Don't take that brand new smart TV in the conference room and connect it directly into your network so that it has access to everything. You also want to make sure you're keeping up to date with all the security settings that are available for these devices that you're using. And you're going to have to be really proactive about it because, again, something secure today may not be tomorrow. You also, I know it's a pain, but you have to read the terms of service and the privacy settings on these devices. And they're not all in legalese either. Some of them are actually legible and you can read them. And that way you understand what's being collected and what's being done with the information. You also, on some of the devices, have the ability to delete the recordings or turn off Max or Siri or Google Talk so that it's not in that mode of always listening. So we've also started seeing more of these C-level types of attacks. We saw the business email compromise last year. Well, one of the things with this is we're going to start seeing ones that are even more attuned to make it look more realistic because of so much information out there about us. So I would see an email like this and I would say, okay, well, my CEO, first off, would never ask me, I know she knows about Todd and the kids, but she would never ask how they're doing. She would never sign an email with best. So the pattern of speech is incorrect. And I would know that that is not legitimate. Now, I would recommend that you always have a policy where if you're going to be transferring money, that you have 2 layers of protection. The CEO or someone has to actually call you, or there's a code. But you want to have both levels because just in case someone has broken into the CEO's machine and learns, this is what we were going to have to start looking for, learns their pattern of speech to make it look like it's an email that's actually coming from them. Some of the things that we want to do is we really want to make sure that we're updating our plans, we are updating our tools, we are keeping up to date with the latest security settings on everything that we have. We know what's connected. We know what updates have to be there. We want to make sure to educate our company, ourselves, to all the threats. We want to take care when we're traveling. We don't want to leave our phone unattended, even though I just did in the other room. We also want to make sure that we're segregating work and personal on your mobile devices, because remember, a lot of those applications have the ability to review your contacts and all of your other information on the phone and exfiltrate that out. And also, you want to turn off unnecessary services and watch out about leaving a forensic footprint. And remember, nothing is 100% secure. And again, one of the best things that you can do is mandatory training and keeping up to date with the latest and most current threat vectors. Thank you.